Over the past 2 weeks, the petrol prices in Singapore has been rising quite noticeably, and if you have been driving, you would have felt it already. Here is the important question. Is this just a temporary increase in fuel costs, or is it something bigger that's happening with the economy? Because petrol prices don't just affect us, they affect inflation, businesses, and eventually the cost of living for everyone. To understand petrol prices, we need to start with oil. Petrol is refined from crude oil, so when the global oil price rises, petrol prices usually follows. Recently, we have seen oil prices move up due to geopolitical tensions, particularly in the Middle East. When there are concerns about supply disruptions, the market reacts quickly, pushing oil prices higher. Now here is something important for us in Singapore. We don't produce oil, which means we are fully dependent on global prices. So when oil prices increase globally, we feel the impact almost directly at the pump. Now, this is where things get interesting. Most people think that petrol only affects the drivers, but in reality, petrol is part of everything in the economy. Think about it. We have delivery trucks delivering food to the people. We have logistic companies moving goods around the countries. We even have airlines that's transporting people in and out of the country. And finally, we have ride-hailing services like Grab. All of this rely on fuel. So when petrol price increases, it doesn't just affect one group of people, it affects the entire supply chain. To help you visualize the impact, the price of octane 95 petrol is up from $2.88 per litre in late February to $3.47 per litre now. That's a 59-cent increase per litre. Considering a standard sedan car with a 50-litre fuel tank, one has to pay extra $30 more to refill their tanks. Now, imagine the larger trucks or even container ships that carries over 8,000 metric tons of fuel. It would cost them an additional $3 million to fill up their tanks as the fuel price doubled over the past 2 weeks. Let's walk through how this actually leads to inflation. Step 1, the fuel prices go up. Step 2, transportation and logistic costs increase. Step 3, businesses is going to face higher operating costs. Now businesses will have two choices. They either absorb the costs or they pass it on to the consumer. In most cases, over time, they'll have to pass it on to the consumer. So in this case, we will see higher food prices, higher delivery costs, and higher service costs. And when things start to get expensive, that's what we call inflation. Now, here is where this becomes important beyond just daily expenses. Inflation is one of the key things that central banks monitor very closely. When inflation rises, it can influence the decisions on interest rates and economic policy, and that's where things start to connect to the broader financial markets. So, what should investors take away from this? First, we have to understand that rising petrol price is not just an isolated event, it is part of a larger economic chain reaction. Second, short-term price fluctuations may feel very uncomfortable, especially when it affects your daily expenses. But as an investor, it's important for us to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Because markets don't just react to events, they react to how these events influence the inflations and interest rates. In the next video, we will take this one step further. We will look at how inflation affects interest rates and how decisions made by the US Federal Reserve affects the investors even here in Singapore. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. I will continue breaking down global market events and how they influence Singapore investors. Thank you very much for today.